Emma, Ashton, and Graham that vary in age from 13 to 6. Mark has been a teacher at many different grade levels over his 20-year career, including 1st through 5th grade, and he currently is the K-4 computer and technology teacher at Fredonia Elementary School. For the past 10 years, Mark has developed the morning announcement program for the elementary school, and to be read each morning. Students are nominated by their teachers. They go through an interview process. They're hired, and then they're taught their specific job, and then put on the crew. Sample jobs include co-anchors, weather, outside sports, history, director, music coordinator, and Mark is going to share probably more about that. So welcome, Mark. Putney.
Thank you, Joanne. I appreciate that. First of all, it's a pleasure to be here in this awesome auditorium. It's new to our area, and what a pleasure to be in front of you, who I consider experts in the field that I have just entered officially as a K-4 computer technology teacher. I have been, like Joanne said, a teacher in the classroom for 19 years, and I've always tried to infuse technology. But as a classroom teacher, as you know, it's very, very difficult to do that. And so that's why, like she said, I started the morning announcements about 10 years ago. We'll get into that in just a little bit. But first, I wanted you to think about a question. And it's a very simple question, but it can be a very difficult question. Why? You could go in the direction of, why are you here today? You could say, why did I become a teacher? Why is that student not listening to me? Why am I still teaching after 20 years with all the different changes? But the question that I want you to really think about today is, why do you do what you do? Everyone in this room does something probably just a little bit different at different schools, at different times, and I appreciate you. I appreciate all the teachers that I've had in my life. But think about that. Really think about that. Why do you do what you do? Simon Sinek said you should start with the question why. If you've never read any of Simon's books, they're very good and very informative about why you do what you do. Now, who am I? Well, you probably won't remember afterwards unless I give you a visual, but I always tell my kids, and by the way, every single day over the past, I'd say 25 years or so, somebody asks me or somebody says, wow, how tall are you? Or, you're tall. And I always say, yes, I am. And then some adults say, the last time since I've seen you, it looks like you've grown. Actually, I have not grown since I was 16. I've been 6'7" since I was 16 years old. And some people in this room can vouch for that as well, because I've known some people that long. Now, I love to play golf, so that's the first part of my name. And I always tell my kids, if you forget my name, I love to play golf. And what do you have to do when you get really close to the hole? Everybody say it. Putt. It's not put. So when somebody calls me on a telemarketer, they say, Mr. Putney, I know that they don't know me. And the second part of that is the knee. The phonetical spelling is knee because I hurt my knee when I was 17 years old on December 7th, 1990. And it ended my career as a basketball player. So I thought that my why was to play basketball for the rest of my life. I played since I was 8 years old. And I can spin the ball on my finger, and someone taught me how to do that. And I really appreciate whoever that was. And I won't tell you purposely who that was because I want you to think about it after telling you this story, and then I'll tell you at the end. So think about and guess who might have taught me how to spin that ball on my finger. The unfortunate incident had me down for a little bit, but what I realized was that summer, I taught somebody how to spin the ball on their finger. And it was a cheerleader that was sitting next to me, and I was just spinning the ball on my finger, and I was kind of down on my luck because I knew my career was over. I really didn't know what I was going to do with my life because I was just thinking basketball, hence the why. And she said, well, can you teach me how to spin that ball on my finger? And within about 5 minutes, I was just telling her, well, you don't look at it like an earth, because the earth is on its axis. It's going to fall right off your finger. She's like, okay. I said, when you throw it up, you just kind of spin it really quick and then catch it with your tall finger. We call it the tall finger. And then you just start spinning it to the side. And within about 5 minutes, she was spinning the ball on her finger. And the next thing that she said changed my life forever. Hey, you should be a teacher. Really? I just want to play basketball. She's like, yeah, you really had a good way with teaching me how to spin that ball on my finger. And so I did. And so I thought I was going to be the best teacher right off the bat. And I knew nothing about teaching. I learned so much the first 5, 6, 7, 8 years about teaching, and I'm still learning. And then just when I thought I had it, I came to one of these TIF trainings, and my head was just spinning when I left. I told Andy afterwards, I said, wow, there's a lot of information out there that I still need to know. But it's really about the students, though. Whatever your why is, remember, it's not about you. It's about them. It's about the relationships that you make versus the transactions. Yes, testing is important in certain avenues, and they have their place. We won't go that avenue. I'd rather go the avenue of relationships and how you make relationships with those kids. I'm going to explain that through how I've done it with technology. So what have I done? Well, the morning announcements came about, I'd say about 15 years ago, actually, where a principal who has since retired, he was looking around the cluster area for somebody to run the camera. And he looks over, hey, Putney, you know computers. Why don't you come on over here and hold the camera? Sure, sir. So I came over and I held the camera for a few years. And he was on giving the morning announcements. So I did that for about 4 or 5 years. Not really too much to it. I could plug it in. I could make sure that it went through to everybody. But since then, he had since retired. Then I moved down to a different building, and I started the announcements at the K through 2 level, which was unheard of at that time because K through 2 students, they're 5, 6, 7 years old. Nobody thought they could do it. Well, I said, you know what? I think they can do it. And so I started it up in 2007. When does this take place? It's for a short period of time, 25 minutes total, but they get a lot out of it. The typical length of each program is from 5 to 8 minutes long, but the actual preparation is about 10 minutes, and then the close down is about 3 to 4 minutes. So that's where we have the 25-minute time. I tried to have the students type the scripts, but I learned at the elementary level, they really didn't see the vision that I had of what content we wanted to get across. So since I have the emails from my principals about what's happening in the school, we always try to keep it positive. So it was just easier for me to go ahead and type the scripts and give it to them, and then they can go ahead and focus on the positive news of our school. Well, where did this idea come from? And this is where I'm going to pause for a little bit. Back in 2007, it was when the Buffalo Sabres were actually in the playoffs. And a friend of mine called me up who lives across the street from me. And I was supposed to go to the dentist at 4 o'clock. And he said, Mark, I've got tickets to tonight's playoff game. It's game 6 versus the Rangers. Can you come? Well, I can't. I've got to go to the dentist. He's like, oh, reschedule the dentist. So if the dentist is watching, I apologize. Because I went to that game, and it changed how I viewed a lot in my classroom. And what happened that night was not the fact that Chris Drury scored with 7 seconds left. And I remember sitting in one of the suites and hitting my head up on the suite. That was a makeshift suite because I was so tall. And then Maxim Finnegan scoring in overtime and winning the game. It was what happened before the game. When we walked through the party in the plaza and we were whisked into the back area of the arena. And the brother of who invited me worked for the Sabres. He was the executive producer of the pregame show. And that's how we were able to go to the game. That was so hard to get to tickets. And I found out 2 hours before I was going. So what happened next was pivotal in what I'm about to tell you. We go in and there's this, basically like a half semi-truck trailer. And we walk in and his name is Matt. He's like, hey guys, it's like calm and cool. And there's like thousands of people in the parking lot. And I look up and there's literally 50 mini TV screens on the one side. He's got all these people that are working on audio and stats and doing all these things in a small area, probably half the size of my classroom. He's like, hey guys, just sit right there. Just turn off your cell phones. Okay. I could barely move. I was just watching everything. And there was a screen in the middle, another screen, and there was just the camera feeds all over the side on each one of the players. And what he would do is he would go ahead and be in charge of pushing what was ready to go on air, and he pushed it right over. And I watched everything that he did, and he was calm and cool and collected, and he had all these people helping him. And it was just so surreal for me. And obviously the game was great, but I came home that night, and then over the summer, I was up on a ladder because teachers, even though people say, oh, you get your summers off, well, teachers don't get paid in the summer. So I was up on the ladder for probably the 15th consecutive year. And it came to me, I said, our kids could do that. They could go ahead and do something like that. And so I asked my principal, remember it's a K-2 building, if we could go ahead and do that. And she said, sure, that's great. Go ahead and try, Mark. And so we set it up. We had a camera. We had a table. We were good to go. And so I started to hire some students to come and do that. And what I learned is that I needed to start small and not go big. I knew that my vision was going to be to where it is today and to even go further. And I even found out about a month ago that's even going to go further than what I even had as my expectations. And what I realized was that if you put the students in the position to succeed with the technology, they will succeed, no matter what they give you. So the tech department, what they noticed was that I had a love for teaching the students this. So they kept on asking me, hey, Mark, would you like to use this? Sure, I'll use that. Then the next year, hey, we noticed that you like this. Could you use this? Sure, that's great. So right now, if you can visualize it, our morning announcements, what Joanne says, has 2 co-anchors. It has an outside weather person with a wireless mic. It has a sports reporter for local sports news. It has an on the state and history to get that piece. It has also our principal's report to give the news of the day. And that's just the people that are in front of the camera. That gives them those skills. We even have some people in this room who had their students on our show. Behind the scenes is where it really takes place. We have about 14 or 15 people behind the scenes. I have the executive producer, I have the director, and some people don't know the difference, but there's a huge difference between those two. We have cameraman, camera person on number 2, camera person on number 3. We have digital, we have analog. So we can go back and forth. We have a switch person, we have an audio person where we go ahead and pipe in different music at different times. We have because once the script is printed, we need somebody to go ahead and flip that script. And there's probably 4 or 5 other jobs that I'm forgetting right now. But the important thing that I do, that I want you to know, is that I teach them how to do this, but then I stand out of the way and I let them do it. Now, I don't go away, believe me, because yesterday, one of the videos wasn't working. And I had told them right before, because you know how 3rd and 4th graders can be at this time of year, especially. They're a little not focused on the morning announcements. They're more focused on the baseball game from the previous night, Little League. And I just had mentioned, I said, remember, make sure all the videos are correct. I just gave that little announcement, and I stepped off the side. I knew what was going to happen. And so we went live, and there was no video. So I gave them a few seconds to try to figure it out. But then once they couldn't figure it out, I'm not going to let them go ahead and not have the video. So I came over and I helped them. And then in our post-production meeting, yes, I said that right, our post-production meeting, like how they had at the arena, we talked about it. Overall, I've had the announcements in about 7 different locations. And the reason for that is because they've moved me from classroom to classroom. And for the first, I'd say 6 or 7 years, it was an unpaid position. I just did it out of the love of getting this technology into the students' hands. And then for the past 3 or 4 years, I have received a stipend for it. But it goes back to why. Why do I do it? For life lessons. I'll say that again, for life lessons. We have 2 sayings before each program. The first one is be professional, be accurate, but most importantly, be yourself. And the second one is even more important. And all the students, I just start saying it, and we all kind of say it, and we definitely said it yesterday. It's not if something goes wrong. It's when and how you handle it. Well, let's talk about an alumni update. I'm on LinkedIn, and I had a student contact me. She's probably about 25 years old now, and she was recently married. And she contacted me, and she said, "Oh, I love being in your classroom." And on a side note, I have when I was a classroom teacher, I have a token economy system where I would actually, do something similar to this, where they would have jobs, I would pay them, we would save money, give money away, and then definitely spend it. And she said, "Oh, I just love being in your classroom." And today she works for the NFL. That's the National Football League. And she thanked me for helping her get there. Now, I'm not naive. I know I wasn't the one that got her to the NFL, even though I would like to think that I was. But it was all of the teachers that she had throughout her career. I was one small piece of that puzzle. And that program that I've developed is called the Powerful Program. And it stands for Providing Opportunities with Economic Results for Underage Learners. Very simple, but very powerful. Now, I can't take credit for that. My wife helped me come up with that because I just kind of told her everything about the program. She knows more about the program probably than I do because I talk about it all the time. And our way back from Pittsburgh, we just kind of threw all the different words and we came up with that. And right now it's on hiatus. The website is live, but it's got a lot of my blogs on there about some of the things that I've talked about today. But the reason it's on hiatus is because I'm a computer teacher now, and that's my focus, K through 4. And my hope is that we can go ahead and connect it digitally somehow with what I had been doing for 20 years in my classroom, and that would be my ultimate goal. So I'm never satisfied with just staying at the status quo. I'm always looking ahead and definitely putting the students to the forefront. Thank you very much for listening about what I do with the announcements, and have a great day.